Greetings, I am Herbert Erpaderp, and today I'm going to build another First to Fight kit. This time, you'll be surprised to learn that I'm going to put together this TKS. Let's just omit the bit where I make a mess of trying to say all of these Polish words here, okay? Okay. The front of the box gives us a thumbs up, and lets us know that there's a metal gun barrel inside. The back of the box has a basic painting guide, which gives colour suggestions from both Vallejo and Hartaka. There's also a brief description of the TKS in English, German and Polish, as well as an exploded diagram showing how the model goes together, also known as instructions. There aren't many parts to this kit, so there's only one simple diagram. It is quite a small diagram, and it might be a bit difficult for those with poor eyesight to read properly, or even for somebody like me who actually has relatively good eyesight. Inside the box, we find a single sprue moulded in dark green plastic. This is pretty simple, clearly, and there are very few parts. This is neither surprising nor a bad thing. The important thing here is the parts are very nice and neatly moulded. I'm particularly impressed with the single-piece track sets. They're not super detailed or anything like that, but they do look really good, especially from the side, and really, in a wargaming kit like this, that is really one of the more important sides for a set of tracks to look good from. The main part of the model is, of course, the upper hull, and I think it's pretty well detailed. I'm no expert on the TKS. I know, shocking, right? But that does mean I can't tell you if this detailing is inaccurate or whatever, but it does look the part, and that's what matters to me. The rest of the bits look good as well. The mould lines are pretty minor, and cleanup shouldn't be too difficult. The most you will really have to do is remove all of those sprue gates from the tracks. First to Fight do seem to like putting a lot of those on their kits. Not that that's a bad thing, of course, it's not hard to clean those up. You'll notice there's also a plastic gun on the sprue. I won't be needing that because, behold, the tiny little metal gun. I think this is fantastic. If I had to hazard a guess, the bit on the front of the box showing the metal gun might say something along the lines of limited edition, and that's probably why the sprue includes a plastic one. Also, it's not a bad thing to have the plastic one just in case you damage or lose the metal one. Unfortunately, no decals are included with this kit, but there is a magazine. I can't read a word of it, being that it's in Polish and I don't speak Polish, or read it. And I guess that does limit the awesome factor of getting a magazine with each kit a little bit, but in fairness, it is a Polish company, and I think it would be a bit silly to expect them to offer something in another language. Even if you can't read the language, there's things like a painting guide, which, to be fair, is still a bit basic, but it's more than you get on the back of the box. There also seems to be unit organisational information you can use for gaming with this model, and there's historical photos, which is cool. I always enjoy seeing those, even if they might not help me personally with my modelling. A good inclusion overall, especially if you can read Polish. I can read Polish? No, you can't, you're just a different voice in my head. Okay, I think now is a really good time to start gluing bits of plastic to other bits of plastic. The first thing to do is glue the hull together. There's guide pins inside of this, which make it very easy to do, though you may need to apply a bit of pressure, mostly at the front, to deal with any gaps that might try to form. I applied a little bit of extra glue along the sides, just to appease the glue god. Then I glue the tracks into place. There are two guide pins that will ensure correct positioning here, so like the hull, this is really easy. I would suggest being careful when applying pressure here, which you'll almost certainly need to do. The tracks are very thin, which I assume you can see, and that does look good, but it also means that they're not all that strong, so just be careful. I feel like I've almost finished the model already, but I haven't. I glue the inner gun mantlet-y part on, and this is almost as easy as it looks. The tricky part here is that you need to make sure that it's up the right way, so that it'll fit into its place. That doesn't sound tricky at all! I know. I put this on before adding the tools, mostly because I didn't want the tools to interfere with it later on. The tools being this shovel, for which there is no keying or guides. So I simply place it on the front of the model, having oriented said model in a direction that the shovel won't just fall off because of gravity, and when I've got it where I want it, I add glue to let it know that I want it to stay there. Same with this bar. This is pretty easy to do, but I suppose if you wanted, you could just as easily omit these tools. I mean, it would be even easier because you wouldn't have to do anything, just don't put them on. Much easier. Surely these tools would from time to time get lost or removed, possibly by no good punk kids. Anyway, the muffler, or what I'm assuming is the muffler, goes on next. There's a mounting hole for this and a little nub into which the support bar, I guess you might call it, will sit. Simple enough. Underneath this, I add a spare wheel. It might be a little bit easier to install this before the exhaust, but I did what I did and it worked. Tweezers were a welcome help though. It's nearly completed, but it can't shoot, and that probably is something of a desirable feature in this vehicle. We must fix this. To do that, we'll use this very nice metal gun. This is so tiny, but it's still quite well detailed, and you can see the end of the barrel is open, which I think gives it a rather convincing look. Much better than me trying to drill out a gun barrel this small. I really appreciate inclusions like this. It's the sort of thing you might expect from a slightly more expensive kit, but these first to fight kits are pretty cheap, so this is nice. I glue the gun into the mantlet, and because this part is metal, I used super glue, and I nudge it until it looks pretty straight. A way to see if this is straight is to rotate the gun and look at how the mantlet part behaves. If it's wobbly, it's not straight, which makes perfect sense really. I didn't get this perfect, but it doesn't really have to be perfect. It's good enough. You probably won't notice it being a tiny bit out. What happens next will totally surprise you. I glue the gun and mantlet assembly into place on the front of the inner mantlety bit. Simple. Aim the gun in the direction you want it to be aimed in, and it's on. Now, the TKS can defend itself, and maybe even kill some tanks with that beastly 20mm gun. I believe most of these had a machine gun, and First to Fight do offer a model of that if you're interested. Anyway, the 72nd scale TKS from First to Fight is now completed. That only took, what, 6.5 seconds? That might be a slight exaggeration, but this was a very quick build. I was actually able to get 2 First to Fight models built in the livestream in which I built this kit. I think that's a pretty good effort. It also means if you are looking to build a swarm of these, it shouldn't take much more than an afternoon of your time. Nice. Of course, this is a wargaming kit, so it is intended to be built quick and easily, so it's not exactly surprising. I think what might be surprising for some though, is how good this little thing looks. I think it looks awesome. I have no idea how effective this kind of vehicle is in any wargame. Probably not very, but that's not what I buy models for. I buy them because they look cool or interesting or just plain weird. I would say this one fits the first of those two descriptions. It's cool and interesting, but not really that weird. I don't have any immediate plans to paint this, but I do think it'll be a fun and probably quick little project, so it is something I'm thinking of adding to my list. I mean, why not? Don't hold your breath to see that video though, it will be a while before I get around to it. I recently bought a stack of First to Fight kits. If you watch my streams you'll have heard me talk about it. I have already built 2 of them, but for the rest, if you're a patron and you haven't seen it yet, there is a poll up to decide which of these kits I build next. It'll probably be a while before I actually build one, so the poll is going to be up there for a while, so if you feel like it, go vote. Obviously you do have to be a patron to do that, and there's a link to Patreon in the description if that's something that might make you want to join up. Anyway, I really enjoyed building this. It was quite the fun little project, and I kind of wish it had lasted a bit longer. Oh well, I'm pretty sure the other First to Fight kits are going to be just as fun. If you have any questions or comments, I've heard that a really good place for those is the comment section below. If you've built one of these or any other cool models and you want to share, why not drop by our Discord community and show us some pictures? We'd love to see what you've done. If you want to watch me build kits like this one live on stream, head on over to my Twitch channel. The link is in the description below. And if you haven't already done so, why not subscribe, follow, ring the bell, become a patron if you want to see my videos a bit early, or maybe just come say hi on Discord or Twitch. And if you're feeling really helpful, why not share this video with your friends or anybody you think might get something out of it? Links to all of my things like social media are in the description below, and as always, I shall return soon. So until then, be excellent to each other, have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching. Farewell.